Hi everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Pub Table, where we talk about the paranormal at a pub table. Now this week's question of the week is, how do I become a ghost hunter? I have to say this is a question that I get posed with just about every single podcast, everything that I've ever been interviewed for, anyone that's ever asked me questions has asked me this. How do I become a ghost hunter?
Right.
Now I gotta say, it's quite an interesting question because it's not like a normal job.
That's true.
It's not like something that you can just go fill out an application to a company and become a ghost hunter.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, in a sense, it kind of is.
Sort
of. Now I'll start this question with the response with, how did I get into paranormal investigating?
Yes.
Okay, now with me, it's been something that's always been a passion. I've always been interested in the unknown, the unexplained, ghosts, legends, and lore. And as soon as I was old enough to drive, I grew up near a place that was very haunted, known as the Brandywine Valley. And for some reason, without me even knowing that this place was haunted, I automatically felt drawn to it.
Right.
Because it had these dark, windy roads that seemed to curve endlessly into the night. And you could get lost on these roads.
Right.
We would spend all night driving along these roads. And we had our share of strange experiences along these roads. And soon came to find out that there were quite a few urban legends associated with these roads. Quite a few haunted places up there. And it was like this almost called to me. You know, it almost called to me. So it was the type of thing where I started out with driving along these dark haunted roads, exploring these urban legends, and seeking out more haunted places along the way.
Right.
And I never really considered becoming what's called a ghost hunter.
Exactly.
I just kind of naturally fell into it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was in the Air Force and I was set up to deploy. And we were in deployment training, pre-deployment training, down in Georgia. And I met this guy, Scott. And many of you may know Scott. He's been in several of our videos. Yep, he's been in several of our videos. And he said, me and him started talking, and he's like, you know, I've always been into urban legends and the paranormal and the unexplained. And I was like, no way, me too. So he said, you know what, I used to be with this team. We had a team up in Whiteman, Missouri, where we used to go out and look into just anomalies and stuff like that. They didn't do anything serious, just kind of went out. And he said there was this light in this cemetery, this one headstone that would light up. And no one could explain it. And they were actually able to go out there and debunk it.
Oh, really?
And that's where I first heard the idea of a team.
Yeah.
And I started talking to him, and I was like, we should start a team.
Yeah.
We should get together, get some other people that are interested, and we should go out and explore haunted places.
Right, right. And if I'm not mistaken, you were doing this at a time when there weren't a whole lot of other paranormal teams out there. Like, you know, you were able to get certain, like, names on social media, that you know, you wouldn't normally be able to get nowadays.
Hence Virginia Paranormal Investigations, right?
Yes.
Who that would be gone nowadays,
right?
I'm sure.
yeah.
But
nobody would have that.
But yeah, so we took that name and we went out and we just started out. When you start out with getting into ghost hunting, it starts out slow. Like you just look for stuff that you can go out to, urban legends, haunted places that you can go to for free.
Right.
You can go to, you can explore. You can practice your methods. And we did a lot of research on methods that people have used.
Right.
On theories of paranormal investigation and paranormal activity. And we kind of looked at these theories and analyzed them. Are these legit? Right. Are these things that these people are saying, are they things that should be practiced?
Right.
But we went out to these places, and for quite a few years, we were just going out to haunted places. And after putting out some videos and some pictures and stuff like that, that's when people started contacting us to come out and investigate their homes. Hey, we had some strange, and we never really thought about us doing that. we never really even got into it, thinking,
No.
hey, we'll get into this and we'll go out and explore people's houses.
Yeah, you don't think about that. You don't.
Right.
You really don't think about that. I'd say for me, it was a little more of a sudden thing. You
Mhm.
know, I'd always been interested in the paranormal and interested in history, but for me, it was sort of like like I have to attribute this to Matt Birch, this guy in excuse me in the Marine Corps, who said, "I've always had paranormal activity following me for many many years. I can take you out to a location in Yorktown where I can find the paranormal." And we were like intrigued by this, and that's kind of what got us out there. But you don't really expect that time that that's going to be something that's going to lead you into what we're doing nowadays by any means. I mean, you think you're just going out to have fun, something that's going to be something that you do on a Friday or Saturday night. I was not one of the people who was out there partying, like a lot of other kids. I was kind of out sort of just venturing into the night. And
Right.
Lord knows, I had no idea that this would end up in the same place where you have ended up, sort of in this paranormal realm.
Right. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I remember when Scott and I, we were down in a place called Valdosta, Georgia, which some of you may have heard of.
Valdosta, yeah.
And, a lot of the people wanted to go out and drink.
Mhm.
There was a place down there, I believe it was called the Rockin' Rodeo, if my memory serves me correctly.
The Rockin'
The
Rodeo.
Rockin' Rodeo, which didn't sound like a very appealing place.
No.
So we quickly volunteered to be the designated drivers. Why? Because as the designated drivers, we could drive the vans, drop them off, and then have the vans for the rest of the night.
Oh.
And guess where we took these vans? We took them out to a place called Spook Bridge.
Spook Bridge.
Spook
Okay.
Bridge, and this was a 2-lane highway that came to a dead end.
Right.
And you walk down past this dirt berm, and there's this old bridge that crosses a waterway, an old
Right.
concrete bridge, and there were holes in the bridge and bushes growing up in it and everything
Yeah.
else. But legend had it that a bus drove off the bridge.
Full
and-
of school children,
Yes,
and they
and
died.
the bridge was
yes,
still haunted.
like typical story. Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So the bridge was still haunted. So we had plenty of opportunity to explore that
cool.
while we were down there, which was cool. It was interesting getting out
Yeah.
there and doing that. But one thing I gotta say though is with this, it's interesting how this passion kind of led to being able to help people.
Right.
Because with people calling us into our homes, and I have to say right up front, there's no charge for this. We don't make
No.
any money off of going into people's houses.
Mm-mm.
A lot of them are kept private.
Right.
So we don't even release anything. No pictures, no video, nothing from these. Just
Yes.
purely being able to help these people. But we found that there were people that were really in need.
Yeah.
And people would not give them answers. They reached out to their local churches. They reached
That's
out
right.
to priests. Several different people to come into their
Oh.
house.
Absolutely.
No one would help them. So
Yeah.
we were there to do that. And that became very satisfying that we were able to use this passion to actually go out and help people.
Right, because there's been a great many people who have called us, even if they have been able to get a hold of a priest or a pastor from a local church who would come out and actually bless their home. There were a lot of people who would call us because the blessing that the preacher or the pastor did actually it wasn't effective.
Right.
It
right.
wasn't something that was long lasting or that was, like really helped for them.
Right.
And we would be called out after that. And that's what it is. It's actually being able to help people, being able
Yeah.
to help people find some more permanent solution, I guess, to their problems.
Now I told how I kind of fell into ghost hunting.
Right.
How did you go from your previous life
Mm-hmm.
into being this Virginia-renowned ghost hunter?
Well, I have to say that part of it had to do with this guy, Matt Birch. Matt Birch was a crazy son of a bitch. He was just one of these guys that was just, really eccentric. He was from northern Georgia, from Atlanta. And he was in the Marine Corps, and he would walk into the mess hall buck naked. Just one of those guys that was just crazy. And, you know, I was dating a guy at the time named Tim who was from Butler, Pennsylvania, and he was best friends with Matt Birch. And Matt Birch claimed that he could find things that were paranormal, sort of that he could. He said that something followed him home from a graveyard when he was about 16, right? And he described the way it created this sort of blue electric lightning sort of effect in his house, in his bedroom, when he came home. And he claimed that from that moment on, that he could sense where the paranormal could be. And of course, being skeptical as we are, you know, we said, hey, you know, like, yeah, right, you know, like, take us out to where the paranormal is. So he drove us up the Colonial Parkway. This was in the midst of the Colonial Parkway serial murders.
Yes.
Okay. And at the time, you know, I knew that this was not safe. But being that you're with two Marines, you know, you're with guys that can kill people with their pinky finger.
Right.
I mean, that's what goes
serial killer's got nothing on them.
Right, right. Yeah, so I'm like, all right, I'm okay, right? We get out to this place, and I have to say that it didn't matter how well they were trained in killing people with their pinky fingers. I was scared to death. Like, when we went down this sort of dirt road off of the Colonial Parkway, it was gated off with a little bit of a chain across the road. It may have been a waterworks road or one of those sort of roads. You know, there were footsteps in the leaves. It was in the middle of December. It was cold outside. There was fallen leaves on the ground. There were footsteps in the leaves beside us. Every step we took, you would hear another set of footprints besides you. You know, it was just all kinds of crazy stuff that were happening at this time. And, you know, even growling. Like, you know, I decided at one point I'd had enough, and I was going to stay in the car and wait for these guys. And this guy, Matt, said, hey, I've got to go out and find out what this light in the woods was. It looked like a fire in the woods. And I had told him at the time, I said, I don't want to walk up on any Satan worshipers and anybody doing some crazy stuff out in the middle of the woods, right? So I was like, I'm going to wait in the car. And they took off about 15 feet down the road, and they hadn't gotten any further than that before they heard something growling at them from the road, the dirt road, beside the dirt road. And they came hauling back to the car. And we went to another location, which happened to be the Diggs location, right? The Diggs plantation home. And we went back there. Again, the same sort of thing. You know, things following them through the woods. But there was this whole night of just crazy things that happened. And after that, not a whole lot happened. You know, but there was a point in my life where I had sort of a major change of, you know, just like a giant change in life. And something happened that all of a sudden this house that I lived in for 15 years, nothing happened in. All of a sudden some crazy stuff started happening. And, you know, even when I left the house, some crazy stuff would happen. And I said to myself, okay, this is the point right in my life where I'm going to seek out a paranormal team. And your team was the first one. The videos that came up, the first videos that came up were your team. And it was some kind of crazy, like, you know, I don't know what you were auditioning for, some sort of production.
Surviving the Paranormal.
Yeah.
Which is another story.
And I saw the sense of humor, and I said, that's the team I want to join. You know, because they have my type of sense of humor, kind of that dry, like, weird sense of humor. And I was like, this is the team I've got to join. And I messaged you that night, or I emailed you. And you said, as a matter of fact, we're looking for people on the team right now. And it wasn't a couple of weeks before I joined the team.
There you have it. So there's two ways to ultimately answer this question. How do I become a ghost hunter?
Right.
One, and which is a good option, is you can do what Linda did. You can seek out a team that's established.
Right.
And
in your
See
area.
if they will take people on.
Yeah.
We do all the time. We
do.
have people fill out an
do.
application, and we do an interview with them, and we bring them on. We like to give everybody a chance.
We do.
So the benefit in doing that is you're with an established team, you're getting cases.
Yes.
Because if you're with an established team, you're already getting residential cases.
Right,
You're getting plenty
right.
of opportunities to get experience in the field, which is cool. So you can always put out an application. The downside of that is you got to kind of go with what the team's methods are.
Right.
There's somewhat of a hierarchy on the team, and if they don't really, want to go with your methods or, your way of doing things, then you're kind of forced to go with the flow.
Right.
Fortunately, we like to take new ideas and try new things and try different methods.
We do.
But the other option is to start on your own.
Yes.
And to start on your own, people say, well, wow, I need so much equipment, so much money to invest in this. You really don't. If you think about it, a lot of us just started out ghost hunting with our own eyes.
Amateur, yes.
And with our own ears.
Yeah.
And we get cameras and we take them out there and try to get a picture of something.
Right.
A digital voice recorder is good to try to get some audio.
Right.
If you don't need anything other than your own eyes and ears if you're going out for yourself. But it depends on what you got to ask yourself what your mission is. If you're going out to prove the existence of paranormal, then yeah, you're going to need some things. If you're going out to prove the existence of ghosts, you're going to need some things. But if you're going out for yourself just to see what's out there and try to capture a little bit of evidence, a camera's good for that.
Right.
Video camera, still camera, and a digital voice recorder.
Yes.
Those three things, but at the very least, your own eyes and ears to go out there in the dark.
Yeah.
And you start doing your own thing, and things can kind of snowball from there like they did for me. They really can. So it depends on what level you want to start at. Do you want to start at just exploring your own methods and exploring your own places and kind of building from there? Or do you want to get in hard and heavy and kind of get with an established team and get in there and start taking cases and getting to see a lot of stuff?
Yeah, now I have to say that the big difference with a lot of paranormal teams and ours is that a lot of teams get out there because they want to experience the scare or the thrill of it that's involved, right? Mm-hmm. Our team sort of focuses on how we can help people. And that's the reason why most of the investigations that we do are the residential investigations. A lot of teams actually do the commercial investigations. They're the ones that want to go to the insane asylums, the Waverly Hills, and, the penitentiaries and all this. And they don't even bother doing the residential investigations. Partly because they believe that is too much involved, because you get called up by this person that says that somebody is smacking their ass in the middle of the night, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, hey, do I believe that this person is crazy? Or do I believe that they have something paranormal going on, right? We are sort of the sort that believe that anything can be paranormal.
Absolutely.
I mean, even if it's the wildest, craziest sort of report that we get, it still could be paranormal.
It could be, and either way, with a case like that, either way, it's going to make for quite a time.
It is.
So I'm taking that case. You can bet I'm taking that case. Okay. Now, in kind of rolling up with our question of the day,
right?
Ghost hunter. A lot of people in the paranormal community have a problem with that term. They'll say, I'm not a ghost hunter, I'm a paranormal investigator. I have no problem with the term ghost hunter.
Right.
I've done some research, of course, and Harry Price, way back in the 30s,
yes.
He was one of the persons that coined that phrase, ghost hunter.
Harry Price is awesome.
People say, well, I'm not out there shooting the ghosts. Okay, if I'm hunting treasure, I'm not out shooting the treasure.
Right.
All right? You know what I mean? I'm out looking for treasure.
Yeah,
if I'm a treasure
there.
hunter, I'm looking for treasure. If I'm a ghost hunter, I'm looking for ghosts. Paranormal investigator is the official term.
Yes.
But hey, if you call us ghost hunters, I don't have any problem with that. But I don't take offense to a lot.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I mean?
mean, I've heard people say before that I'm not a maintenance technician. I'm a, they come up with some fancy name for it. And
Right.
it's not necessarily.
Let's not fancy.
They're trying to make
here.
themselves sound more fancy than they actually are.
I'm
you
a
know.
paranormal investigator.
Like,
I am,
right,
but I'm also a
yeah.
ghost hunter. I'm out there looking for ghosts.
Yeah, I'm looking for ghosts.
Right.
Yeah. But it is more than ghosts. You have to admit that
that's
it's
the
more
thing with
than
us.
just
Yes.
ghosts.
Well, it depends on the team and that's another thing to consider. What are you looking to find? Because we're Virginia Paranormal Investigations, and a lot of people don't realize because the majority of our reports involve spirits.
Spirits, yeah.
But we've taken cases that involved UFOs and extraterrestrials. We've taken cases that involve cryptids
and all kinds of crazy stuff.
You name it. So anything that's just unexplained, we take. Now, somebody that's specifically ghost hunters, they're probably just out looking for ghosts.
Right, absolutely, because that's what their focus is, and it's absolutely fine if that's what your focus is going to be. You have to establish at the beginning what you were out to look for.
Right.
And if you're out to look for the paranormal in general, you have to accept that maybe there's things that are physical that are out there. That may be, not something that science can explain. Such as Bigfoot. I mean, that's probably the most Dogman. That's two of the most predominant ones right there. But a lot of people are out to understand and experience ghosts, and that's perfectly fine as well. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. Like, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of open sort of field for that. Because people don't really fully understand everything is theory, right?
Right.
You have to understand everything is theory. There's nothing that is, nobody can say they're an expert in the field. Nobody can say that they are, they fully understand everything. Some people will say that necessarily, but that's not true.
Right.
Because everything is theory.
Yeah, and I will say, a lot of people will say, well, you're out to prove ghosts exist. We're not.
No.
We're out there to
clearly
investigate claims of paranormal activity and see if there's a natural explanation for it or not.
Yeah.
Now, in the comments, I'd love to hear from some of you on our YouTube channel here.
Yes.
If you're watching, I'd like to see you comment below and tell us if you are a ghost hunter.
Right.
Okay. If you are a paranormal investigator.
Right.
And what... If you're not, or if you are, what brought you to the paranormal field?
Absolutely. I love to hear the stories.
Love to hear them.
I love to hear the stories because there's so many people out there who are into the paranormal nowadays, and so many people who are willing to share their stories about what got them into the paranormal. And I think that's the most fascinating thing, is the stories that you hear from individuals, just normal, everyday people. I love that. That's the best thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.